Welcome to the Deep Dive. I am your host, and I am so ready to get into this massive topic today.
And I am your resident film analyst, definitely ready to break it all down for you.
Awesome. So you know that incredibly specific, low-level anxiety that hits on a Friday night when you open a streaming app.
Oh yeah, the endless scroll, it is brutal.
Right. You just sit there on the couch, staring at endless rows of movie tiles, while your takeout food just gets completely cold.
Yep.
It feels exactly like standing in the cereal aisle of a massive, overwhelming supermarket. You walked in just wanting a simple bowl of flakes.
But you are confronted by 400 different options.
Exactly. 400 options, all packed in these brightly colored, hyper-optimized boxes just screaming for your attention.
Yeah, and before you know it, you are completely paralyzed by choice. You end up watching absolutely nothing at all.
It happens every time.
It really is the defining dilemma of the modern entertainment era. I mean, we have engineered infinite access to art and content, which, somehow translates directly into infinite indecision. The paradox of choice dictates that the more options you have, the more cognitive load it takes to simply pick one. We call it scrolling paralysis.
Scrolling paralysis, that is a great term for it. It is a very real affliction. And looking at the 2026 movie release landscape,
Yeah.
That paralysis is about to mutate into something entirely unmanageable.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer volume of content on the horizon is basically engineered to break the algorithm.
But that is exactly why we are here today. We are looking at a sprawling 2026 to 2027 Metacritic movie release calendar, alongside a curated list from Novel Suspects detailing the most anticipated crime fiction films of the year.
And we also have some really in-depth review and streaming data for a standout new indie thriller called Homage.
Yes, we do. Our mission today is to act as your personal guide through this overwhelming, jam-packed slate.
Because the theatrical and streaming slates slated for 2026 are incredibly dense.
They really are. We want to cut through the noise of those endless release dates to uncover the hidden gems and the major trends in the crime and thriller genres.
Right, so by the end of this, you will know exactly what is actually worth adding to your watch list.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the sheer, unfiltered absurdity of the upcoming crime cinema landscape.
Absurdity is definitely the right word for it.
It really is. Because looking at this Novel Suspects list, something genuinely bizarre is happening to the traditional thriller.
Yeah, we are witnessing a severe, industry-wide pivot away from the gloomy, straightforward procedural.
Thank goodness.
Right. I mean, for decades, the baseline standard for a thriller was a brooding detective, usually standing in the rain, methodically unraveling a grim murder.
Always in the rain.
Always. But the 2026 slate suggests that formula has finally reached its breaking point.
The word I would use is chaos. It looks like 2026 is the year where traditional thrillers get this massive injection of dark comedy and truly bizarre high-concept ideas.
Totally.
Like, take How to Make a Killing, which hits theaters on February 20th.
Yeah.
You have Glenn Powell playing the black sheep of a ridiculously wealthy family.
Which is perfect casting, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. So his character finds himself cut off, and to secure his inheritance, he just makes the logical leap to murder every single relative standing in his way.
It operates as a classic revenge and inheritance setup, but the underlying psychology is completely different.
How so?
Well, it takes the very modern, cultural, eat-the-rich satire we see on social media and just pushes it to its absolute lethal extreme.
Right. But the absurdity scales up even further. On May 8th, we are getting a movie called The Sheep Detectives.
This one is wild.
It is. The title is completely literal. It is a murder mystery where actual sheep attempt to solve the murder of their beloved shepherd.
And that shepherd is played by Hugh Jackman.
A murdered Hugh Jackman, investigated by farm animals who cannot even communicate with humans, and it is being played as a legitimate mystery.
Yeah, no, it sounds fake, but it is very real.
And then on April 17th, we have 4 kids walk into a bank. It is a graphic novel adaptation featuring Talia Ryder.
Right, she plays a teenage girl who realizes her screw-up dad is planning a botched robbery.
Yeah, so she decides the most rational way to save him is to just recruit her own teenage friends and rob the bank first. And it co-stars Liam Neeson.
It is quite the lineup.
It really is. So looking at this, I have to ask the obvious question. Are audiences just fundamentally bored of the standard whodunit? Do we really need farm animals and teenage bank robbers just to keep us hooked on a mystery?
What's fascinating here is that we are looking at a desperate, evolutionary survival mechanism for a saturated market.
Okay, a survival mechanism.
Yeah. Over the last 5 years, the streaming boom conditioned audiences to consume true crime and mystery at an unprecedented rate, the audience's synapses are just entirely fried.
That makes sense. We have seen it all.
Exactly. You cannot give them a standard detective solving a standard crime because the viewer has already guessed the twist by minute 15.
But isn't that just a gimmick? I mean, dressing up a mediocre mystery script in a bizarre, eccentric outfit doesn't fix a broken genre, right?
That's a fair point.
Like putting a sheep in a detective hat doesn't automatically make the underlying plot any smarter.
You are absolutely right that a gimmick alone cannot sustain a 2-hour film. However, you have to look at these concepts as a psychological Trojan horse.
A Trojan horse.
Yeah, the studios are using these wild, disarming premises like farm animals or teenagers in over their heads to basically bypass the audience's genre-savvy defenses.
Oh, I see. So because it is weird, I'm not trying to solve it right away.
Precisely. When you are watching a traditional thriller, your guard is up. You are actively trying to outsmart the screenwriter. But when the premise is inherently absurd, you drop your guard.
You just let the story pull you in.
Yes. And once you are inside the gates, the filmmakers deploy the actual devastating emotional stakes. It proves that crime fiction in 2026 doesn't always have to be gritty to be compelling.
Wow. That structural shift in the writing brings us to a huge financial question, which perfectly sets up the next major trend on the calendar.
Let's hear it.
If the plots are getting this weird and experimental, who is actually willing to fund them? That leads us directly to the evolution of the action star and this incredibly powerful allure of nostalgia.
The demographic split in the casting data here is really striking.
We are seeing established actors either fiercely defending their traditional action turf or pivoting into completely unexpected thriller roles.
Right, the studios are cultivating unexpected action heroes on one side while aggressively leaning on legacy stars on the other.
Look at Bob Odenkirk. He is continuing this completely unexpected yet highly lucrative action hero streak in a movie called Normal, which drops April 17th.
Right, following up on his recent action success.
Exactly. He plays a small-town Minnesota sheriff, methodically taking down a deeply embedded criminal organization. We spent years watching him as a sketch comedian or like a sleazy lawyer, and now he is snapping necks.
It is quite the pivot, but then we see the return to very familiar ground as well.
Oh, for sure. March 20th, Netflix is releasing Peaky Blinders, The Immortal Man.
That is going to be massive.
Huge. Cillian Murphy is returning to his iconic role as Tommy Shelby, and he is joined by heavy hitters like Barry Keoghan and Rebecca Ferguson.
Tommy Shelby really functions as a cultural anchor. In an entertainment landscape that feels totally unpredictable, that character is a known, comforting quantity for millions of viewers.
And the studios are practically taking direct orders from the viewers now. On January 28th, Amazon Prime is dropping The Wrecking Crew.
Ah, the buddy cop movie.
Yes. Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa playing half-brothers investigating their father's murder. But the fascinating context here is that this specific project was willed into existence via social media.
It really was. The fans demanded this exact buddy cop dynamic between these two specific actors, and the studio just obliged.
Then we have the heavyweight reunion of Ben Affleck directing and starring in Animals, which is produced by Matt Damon. Affleck plays an LA mayoral candidate desperate to save his kidnapped son.
Classic thriller setup.
And if you just want pure, unadulterated predictability, Jason Statham is delivering exactly what you expect in an action thriller called Mutiny on August 21st.
Which is being produced by Statham's own production company, of course.
Yeah.
That guarantees a very specific, reliable, and highly choreographed flavor of action that his core demographic always expects.
Listening to this lineup, Odenkirk, Murphy, Bautista, Momoa, Affleck, Statham, it feels a bit like the cinematic equivalent of dad rock.
Dad rock, I like that.
Yeah. It is like when a legendary rock band goes on tour and nobody in the crowd wants to hear the experimental new album, you know? They just want the band to play the greatest hits.
The dad rock analogy captures the audience sentiment perfectly. But there is actually a brutal, risk-mitigating math driving these casting choices at the studio level.
But isn't that a paradox? If audiences are supposedly tired of the old formulas, which is why we need cheap detectives and extreme satire, why would seeing the exact same 50-year-old action star solve the problem?
Because the innovation is happening in the premise, not the casting. And studios refuse to take two massive risks on the same project.
Okay, that makes sense. Give me an example.
Let's look at How to Rob a Bank, directed by David Leitch, coming out September 4th. The premise is incredibly modern. It is a crew of bank robbers who vlog their crimes on social media.
That is a very quirky, risky concept for a major studio release.
Exactly. If you cast unknowns in that film, the studio has nothing to sell to international distributors and nothing to grab your attention when the thumbnail pops up on your streaming feed.
Ah, I see.
But when you put a globally recognized legacy face on a bizarre or risky concept, you instantly neutralize the financial risk. The star operates as a human insurance policy.
A human insurance policy. Wow.
Wow, the viewer thinks, well, I don't know if I want to watch a movie about vlogging bank robbers, but I know I like that actor, so I will click play. They make gambles feel like safe bets.
The financial math of the major studios totally explains those massive safety nets. But what happens when you remove that safety net entirely?
That is where things get really interesting.
Right. If you don't have $50 million to pay Ben Affleck to anchor your premise, how do you capture an audience's attention? I want to pivot away from the blockbuster explosions and the surrealism.
Let's do it.
Let's focus on the raw, emotional end of the 2026 thriller spectrum. Because if a blockbuster is a roller coaster, the indie scene is a tightrope walk without a net.
Without a massive marketing budget to force a film into the cultural conversation, an independent film has to rely entirely on structural efficiency and real emotional resonance.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Looking at our sources, we have a massive stack of data on a standout new indie release called Homage.
Yes, Homage.
It is a Caribbean crime thriller from Sankofa Film Productions. It dropped on June 6th, and you can stream it right now on Prime Video and Apple TV.
It is directed by and stars Miles Missenden, right?
Yes, it is. And here's the detail that instantly caught my eye. It has a runtime of exactly 1 hour and 31 minutes. It is also completely unrated.
That 91-minute runtime is a massive structural advantage in today's climate.
Really? Why is that?
Because we are living in an era of bloated 3-hour streaming epics that just drag in the second act, there is no studio executive forcing them to cut for theatrical showtimes anymore.
So true.
So a tight 91-minute runtime is a statement of narrative intent. It promises the viewer maximum efficiency.
It fundamentally respects my time, and it seems to be paying off. Caribbean Entertainment Magazine gave Homage a 4 out of 5-star rating.
That is a phenomenal review for an indie.
And they didn't achieve that rating by trying to compete with Jason Statham. There are no massive CGI-heavy set pieces. They got those 4 stars through profound character work.
This highlights the true flexibility of the crime genre, you know?
Yeah.
While a massive studio release like The Wrecking Crew uses a murder investigation simply as a vehicle for banter, Homage uses the thriller format to explore deep, relatable human trauma.
It is a highly focused examination of the consequences of incarceration, right?
Exactly. It looks at how a prison sentence doesn't just punish the individual, it acts like a slow-acting poison on the entire family unit long after the sentence is actually served.
Let's take a magnifying glass to the plot of Homage to show you exactly why this specific film stands out in a crowded 2026 field.
The story centers around Marcus Face Jackson, played by Miles Missenden.
Right. He is a former street figure who essentially lost a decade of his life to the prison system. He is finally out, and he is desperately trying to rebuild his life with his wife, Angie, played by Nadira Shakir.
And their child, MJ, played by Cameron Washington. The psychological toll of the reintegration process is immense here.
It really is.
The film captures the suffocating reality of a man trying to outrun a shadow that is permanently attached to him. He has managed to build this incredibly fragile piece.
It is like trying to carefully build a house of cards, right?
Yeah.
Marcus has charted this very slow, methodical path to safety. But then a ghost from his past walks in and just starts bumping the table.
That is a great way to put it.
The tension explodes when this unpredictable former associate named Reggie Squeeze returns from prison. Reggie drags the thread of the old street loyalties directly into Marcus's new sanctuary.
And what is truly brilliant here is the casting twist for Reggie. He is played by Maja Hype.
Yes. From an industry perspective, casting Maja Hype in this specific role is a highly calculated choice because Maja Hype is an actor primarily known for comedy.
Right, and here he is stepping into a deeply menacing, highly dramatic role.
There's a very specific, visceral kind of unease that happens when you watch someone you subconsciously associate with laughter suddenly projecting a genuine physical threat.
You never quite know how to read his face, which just skyrockets attention.
Plus, the film features cameos from dancehall star DeMarco and Julie Mango, grounding it in a very specific cultural reality.
This raises an important question regarding representation. What the expert reviews highlight is that Homage actively avoids the standard urban crime stereotypes.
It refuses to use its Caribbean setting merely as a flavorful, exotic backdrop for stylized violence.
Precisely. Instead, it offers a deeply authentic representation of Caribbean culture. It digs into family dynamics and the wider diaspora experience.
But the themes, forgiveness, fatherhood, breaking generational cycles, they feel completely universal.
Absolutely universal. It is a message of redemption.
So what does this all mean? We have journeyed through an incredibly diverse cinematic landscape today. For you, curating your 2026 watch list, it is clear that the genres are offering unprecedented variety.
You really have everything on the table.
If you want pure escapism, you can watch literal sheep solve a murder or watch Bautista and Momoa blow things up. If you want comfort, the dad rock of cinema is there to catch you.
Using those legacy stars to anchor wild new concepts.
Exactly. But if you want profound, emotionally resonant storytelling, Caribbean indie films like Homage are delivering absolute masterclasses in tension and character work.
It is a remarkable spectrum, but examining these extremes leaves us with a lingering question to ponder long after this deep dive ends.
Oh, what is that?
If the entertainment we consume is a reflection of our collective anxieties, what does our current obsession with extreme stories say about what we are truly craving in the real world right now?
That is a heavy question.
It is. From Glenn Powell's character wanting to eat the rich, to Marcus Jackson's desperate plead for second chances, are we witnessing human filmmakers sprinting to the outer edges of creativity just to prove their humanity in an age of AI?
Wow. You mean since a computer can generate a standard procedural, humans have to either go completely unhinged or dive into deep, raw trauma just to stand out?
Exactly. It makes you wonder if we are witnessing the death of the standard movie entirely.
That is a fascinating thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and we will catch you next time.